You're listening to Synergy to Synastry, the podcast where two corporate girlies called to follow their intuition take you on a journey of self-exploration through metaphysical modalities.
I'm Christine, intuitive coach and clairvoyant.
And I'm Renee, psychic intuitive and astrologer.
We're excited that you're here and honored to be your spiritual guides. If you enjoy this podcast, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen. It helps listeners find our show, plus it automatically enters you into our raffles to win a free psychic reading.
Now, let's get into the episode. Come one, come all, welcome. It is our second annual forecast episode.
Woo!
2026 numerology, 2026 eclipses through the astrological lens, and our year ahead psychic readings.
For the history of the Gregorian versus astrological new year for intention setting, instructions for how to calculate your personal year number, and an overview of annual perfection years, pause here and go listen to our 2025 forecast from December 7th, 2024.
An FYI for the listener, in March of 2025, I released a perfection year guidebook that's an all-in-one resource to understand your perfection year for every single year of your life. If you would like to get that book to use it for this year and any and every year going forward, you can check out the link in the episode description. And with that, Christine, are you ready to jump into 2026?
I was born ready.
Okay, then.
For 2026 numerology, it's going to be a one world year. Season 1, we have an episode talking about the basics of numerology if you want to dive deeper into this topic. But today we're going to talk about what you can expect from a global perspective. You may be asking yourself, how do we calculate the world number? We add up each digit of the year and reduce it down to one number. So for 2026, 2 plus 0 equals 2, plus 2 equals 4, plus 6 equals 10. 10 is a two-digit number, so we add those two numbers together. 1 plus 0 equals 1, and now we have a single-digit number. 1 is part of the intellectual group of numbers, along with 5 and 7. So think curiosity, education, travel, and lots of energy. It's important for this group of numbers to use that energy in a healthy way. It needs something to do, so we might as well harness it towards our own growth. This is a good energy for movement, being out in nature, anything that gets the blood flowing and gives the mind purpose. The energy of 1 specifically is initiating, independence, leadership, new, beginning, motivation. And remember, this is a global energy, so everyone will be influenced by this in 2026. This is, of course, a great time to start something new or to find the energy to get something big done. For example, I've been dying to renovate my apartment for years, and I've been avoiding it because it feels like such a big task, but 1 year might be the year to do it. Do remember that it's okay to ask for help during this time. It's okay to be a little selfish, and it's totally okay to make mistakes because that's how we learn. It's also a good time to ask yourself, what have I always wanted? And then start to take little steps to get there. The energy is supportive for this. Last reminder for this year, movement. Whether it's physical activity, massage or acupuncture, or even travel, the best way to get out of the mind and expend all of that natural energy is to get into the body. Now, I do have some fun facts for us, because what would this episode be without fun facts? The 20th century, also known as the 1900s, which my mind cannot compute.
It always does take a beat.
Yeah.
To go, okay, wait, it's actually, 100 less.
Yes, it's crazy. So the 1900s, that century was a 1 century. We get that by adding 1, 9, 0, and 0 together. 1 and 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. Think back to that time, if you can remember it, to get an idea of what overall 1 energy feels like. Very independent, very me first, very active energy. Like all energies, there's an empowered and a disempowered side. So in the 1900s, we had the civil rights movement, women gaining the right to vote, where the suffrage movement finally gained enough traction, and even self-service like gas stations and checkout counters. You can really see the me first part of it within those things. When we moved into the 21st century, 2000, we entered into a 2 century because 2 plus 3 zeros equals 2. 2 carries the energy of balance, love, and empathy. This can also turn into martyrdom, but we're focused on what's possible this episode, not what could happen. So the century we're in now is one where vulnerability can no longer be a scary thing. Think of the destigmatization of mental health, seeing a therapist being a casual thing, and being able to ask for help. My dream for us this year is to take that one energy to really set the stage for all that we can accomplish with the empowered 2 energy. Imagine what a better place the world can become. And then, of course, as I always do, I looked at my personal year, which of course is also Renee's personal year, because of course we would have the same personal years. So this year, Renee and I are experiencing a 3 personal year. To find your own personal year, you would add the month and the date of your birthday to the world number, which we know is 1. So for me, I was born September 2nd, so 9 plus 2 plus 1 equals 12, and then 1 plus 2 equals 3. So if you're also experiencing a 3 personal year, listen up. If you want to know your personal year forecast, send us an email with numerology in the subject line, and we'll let you know. If you're also experiencing a 1 year like the world, this is likely going to be a big year for you. When our personal year matches our world year, usually big things happen for us. So for example, I'm a life path 9, and we are coming out of a 9 year. Within the 9 year, I finally got the job that I was looking for that was very aligned with who I am and who I want to be. So that's exciting. Renee, I know you also had a 9 year. Did you have any big events that happened this year that you can think of?
Oh my gosh. Where do I even start?
Love that.
This was a huge year. There were so many things that I started and stopped. I mean, 9's also an ending. It's a culmination, but it's an ending. Moving the needle here, moving the needle there, figuring out how I could stop myself from moving the needle so often. But yeah, no, I had started a job. I also briefly did an internship. I revamped my business. I did some farmers market. So I was doing a lot of new things, which I feel like technically that should be capturing 1 energy, but it was of something that already existed. So I was building on that and taking it to the next level. 2025 was definitely a big year. We tired.
Yeah. So back to the 3 personal year, what Renee and I are going to experience, and hopefully some of you out there as well, time to express yourself and take stock of your creative side. So questions to ask are, is there something that you've always wanted to do? For example, I've always wanted to learn how to properly watercolor or do pottery. So this is a great time to take a class. Maybe you've wanted to sing or act or get into digital design or creative writing. The list is literally endless. This is the year to romanticize your life and live glamorously. We want to meet new people. We want to experiment. Layering the 1 world year and the 2 century with my 3 personal year, I'm thinking experimenting creatively could lead to the start of a new project or initiative this year that allows me to help bring vulnerability to the main stage in this lifetime. What a year this could be. Look at all the possibilities that could happen, all the good that can happen in 2026.
You're saying that it's a 1 year for the collective. Isn't that more of an individual energy? Because isn't more of a togetherness relationship a 2 year?
As Renee was talking, I realized astrologically, I have Neptune conjunct my ascendant, which means Delulu is the Solulu for me. I am living in delusion constantly and just hoping it happens. Yes, 1 is very me focused, but isn't the microcosm the macrocosm? If we focus on ourselves, aren't we focusing on everyone else? Century teaching us to come together and to unite, focusing on ourselves would get us there.
That's true. There's so much discourse around people's relationships, either romantic, friendship, family, culture, and society, kind of a staple at this point. So that I think makes a lot of sense with it being century wise. But yeah, year wise, I hope that people are harnessing their individual growth and initiation energy for good.
I have something unique to share with this world. I'm getting what's mine and I don't care about anyone else. That's the disempowered side of it.
Mm.
So I'm choosing to focus on the empowered side because of my typical leaning towards delusion. And we'll see how far we can get. Shoot for the moon, folks. Even if you miss, you will land among the stars.
Christine, that couldn't have been a better transition because I am going to be talking about the moon and the stars next.
Get it, girl.
If you want to hear about what the moon is, go back to season 1. We have an episode on that. In season 1, we just covered the spring eclipses. In season 2, we had an episode covering all of the eclipses for 2025. And we are doing the same thing here, just tucked into our forecast episode rather than it being in our regular season. Keep in mind that the last 2 years of eclipses in the Northern Hemisphere occurred in the spring and fall because the ecliptic is always moving. Our 2 eclipse seasons are occurring in the winter and summertime. Our first one is the new moon and solar eclipse at 28 degrees of Aquarius. If you listened to our episode last season, you'll know that we're supposed to be in a Pisces Virgo eclipse series. So why are we having an Aquarius eclipse? It is happening in place of the North Node Pisces eclipse that we should be having. So we have an entire year gap rather than 6 months. This eclipse is the first of many out of sign eclipses in this series. We're not fully in the Pisces Virgo axis, and the Aquarius Leo axis is overlapping, and they're just alternating. When we move into the Capricorn and Cancer series, then that's actually clean and kind of by itself and not intermingled. So we are in a slightly convoluted, melded time where we're having 2 eclipse series that now, starting in February, are going to be overlapping with each other over the next few years. Moving towards Pisces and releasing in Virgo. We are also doing the same thing for Aquarius and for Leo. We are going to be working on 4 areas of our chart at the same time, intermittently in these eclipse seasons for the next few years.
But Renee, we're already so tired from 2025.
Let's get more tired. That's what these eclipses are saying. Like, you thought that was enough? No. But the
No.
positive is, in the grander scheme astrologically, in 2026, we do have all of these outer planets, which are really, really big collective energies, settling into their new signs. So that's going to happen within the first half of the year. And those are going to be locked in for 6, 13, so many years. Things will quote unquote stabilize, even though the signatures of those placements are not necessarily stable. More details on that. I talk about them on my blog, and you can check out my YouTube channel. I have talked about those pretty extensively. I actually have a blog post where I covered this entire eclipse series, my September 2025 Astro Weather blog post, and I wrote down all of the dates so you can see the entire Pisces Virgo series with all of the Aquarius and Leo eclipses tucked in there. We will link that in the show notes so that you can check that out if you want to get an idea of the scale and scope. So back to this first eclipse of the year. The last 3 solar eclipses that we had in this fixed air sign of Aquarius were February 15th, 2018, January 26th, 2009, and February 6th, 2008. So you can scroll back in your calendar, in your phone, flip back in your journal, your text messages, your emails. See what was going on around those dates. So this time around, the eclipse is happening on February 17th at 7:13 a.m. Eastern Time. It is a North Node eclipse, which means we are leaning in, we are going towards the agenda, the purpose, the calling of the collective for that time. We're leaning into progress. It's the innovation side of Aquarius. Rebuilding systems. We should all be a little bit familiar with this, given that we've had Pluto in Aquarius comfortably over a year, as well as other collective efforts and initiatives. Do not manifest on an eclipse. Yes, it's a new moon, but disregard planting those seeds. Eclipses are about beginnings and endings, so you don't want to plant a seed for something that might end when you're trying to call it in. Instead, you can clean, you can rest, enjoy a self-care practice focused in the Aquarian area of your chart. So see which house you have in Aquarius, specifically at 28 degrees. Identify that life area associated with that house number, and then focus some self-care, some tending into that area. We're applying systems, we're applying structure, maybe trying some new things, but be gentle. Don't go crazy. All right, so for our second winter eclipse, we have the total lunar eclipse and full moon at 12 degrees of Virgo. So this is an in sign, so it's in the cycle we're supposed to be in, South Node in Virgo. This is a shedding, this is a releasing energy. Again, more on that in last year's forecast and on my blog. The last 3 Virgo lunar eclipses were March 14th, 2025, which we discussed last year, February 20th, 2008, and March 3rd, 2007. So this gives you another batch of dates to refer back to. Of course, it's a different quality, different energy to it. So this is March 2nd at 6:34 a.m. Eastern Time. Because it is a south node, we are shedding, we are releasing. This is a portal and pattern that we have been in at this point. It'll have been essentially an entire year, so we should understand the assignment by now. And what we want to do is think about our relationship with perfectionism, releasing the control, the planning, overthinking, and any fixations that we may have on our health. So in the low vibrational side, overly fixating in a way that's not particularly healthy for us, or that control, creating order in different areas of life, like almost applying too much structure and system versus just being able to allow things to flow, because the Virgo Pisces axis is the healer axis, as we have talked about on this podcast before. How can we lean into a little bit more flow and not trying to control everything? Recommended practices: document anything that comes through intuitively. If you have any dreams, it won't even necessarily be on this day, but you could notice that your sleep gets disrupted or that you start having very different dreams in the lead up to it and even after as it's dissipating. Write those things down. If you have any other messages or signs that you receive, write those down. They're going to be really helpful to refer back to for future Virgo eclipses in this series because we have plenty more time in this cycle. You can also jot down anything about your energy level. How is it that you're feeling? And what emotions might be coming up? This is also, in general, just kind of a great activity for a Virgo. Virgo is like, oh, let me write stuff down. Let me have a tracker. Let me have a log. Let me collect the data so I can look at it later. So we're doing it in a way that's just observing ourselves. We're not going to do anything with it right now. We're just collecting it. Moving on, changing seasons. It's summertime. We have our first eclipse, and guess what? It's out of sign. It's supposed to be Virgo, but instead, it's Leo. The new moon and solar eclipse. So the last Virgo eclipse was a lunar eclipse. So this is a solar eclipse in Leo at 20 degrees. For your reference, the previous 3 Leo solar eclipses were August 21st, 2017, August 1st, 2008, and July 30th in the year 2000. This eclipse is happening on August 12th at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Energetically, what we can focus on releasing and reflecting on is any egocentrism. Where are we centering ourselves too much? Christine was talking about it being a 1 year. It's August. It's most of the way through the year. Have we veered off into the lower vibrational energy of a 1 year? Let's check that ego.
What a great check-in. I didn't even know this was coming up.
didn't know what the year theme was, so I didn't know
Yeah.
what you were going to say to be able to have a perfect tie-in.
Love it.
So this is a great time to remind yourself that not everything is about you, for you, or against you, based on whatever's going on. Release some of the pride that you have. Do you have any resistance to anything? Because again, your ego is being centered, that you are self-protecting in some way. And also, how can you separate from the drama? Leo loves drama because it wants to play, it wants to have fun. But sometimes that drama can be very low vibrational and not supportive. And we want to get rid of all that stuff because we are trying to grow ultimately. You can tidy up your space. You can rest. Do some self-care for that Leo area in your chart. Find 20 degrees of Leo and look at the house that it's in. In our fourth and final eclipse of 2026, we have a partial lunar eclipse and full moon at 4 degrees of Pisces. What have I done over the last year? How have I grown? Because this is North Node energy. How have I embraced the high vibrational side of Pisces? Intuition, creativity, compassion, spirituality, expansion. For the record, the last 3 Pisces lunar eclipses were September 7th, 2025, September 17, 2024, and September 16th, 2016. Those are all in September, but backing into August, which is when this one is happening, August 28th at 12:14 a.m. Eastern Time. So depending on your time zone, it may in fact be on the 27th. Neptune, the modern ruler, not only is it delusion, as Christine was mentioning earlier, but it relates to dreams. And, oh my gosh, Christine, I'm just making this connection. Remember in our etymology episode when I looked up the etymology of dreams and it said it was a delusion?
Oh my gosh, now I do.
I did not make that connection until I just was saying that sentence out loud.
Wow.
Okay, it's all coming together. Recommendations for this day: rest, hydrate, lay low, track any ideas or messages or reflections that come through. And just as we talked about with that Virgo eclipse, we process it later. Just write it down, just put it somewhere. If writing isn't your style on a Pisces eclipse and you want to draw, if you want to record a voice note, maybe it's you singing it. If you want to get more creative, maybe you collage, whatever it is that you want to do. All right, so I'm going to just rattle off real quick for Christine and I what we can think about for each of these eclipses. So the first one, 28 degrees of Aquarius. That is in my 8th house, Christine's 2nd house. So this is the financial axis. So we are thinking about building new systems as relates to money. Love that for us. As relates to our self-worth, as relates to our mental health. And because it is in Aquarius, that means that there is a flair for how can we accomplish those things, but also with other people in community? Do we need a team to help us with those aspirations? And how can we think more outside the box with them? Aquarius's modern ruler is Uranus. It is an innovator. It wants to break barriers, do things differently. So we also could look back at those previous dates and say, hey, did anything earth-shattering or brand new emerge for us in those areas of life? Did we get a raise or promotion? Or did we inherit money? Did we have debt that we needed to pay off? Because that's also in the 8th house. Or anything on the personal growth, value, assets side.
This is bringing back a lot of stuff. So in February of 2018, I was like finally settled with buying my apartment and
Perfect.
like first moving in. And then in 2009, I was graduating college after the financial crisis. Who am I now? Am I getting a job? All of the things. I don't know about February, but yeah, big things have happened.
Around those times.
Yep.
Yeah. Mark your calendar. For the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 2nd, that is our 3rd and 9th houses. It's focused on communication, learning, technology, short distance travel, long distance travel, spirituality, teaching, astrology, so many things for the two of us. We've talked about this axis a lot because of the fact that I have Virgo moon, Christine has a Virgo stellium, and then I have a Pisces stellium. It came up a lot in the Synastry episode from season 1 when we were comparing our charts. We were picking up on that third and ninth house dynamic a lot. So these are pretty notable areas for us in the podcast and for us as individuals. These are themes around communication. So we could be thinking about that a bit, whether it relates to the podcast or whether it relates to how we are sorting our day-to-day routine, our relationship with the world at large versus our local community. And ultimately, because it's in Virgo, what we are ideating on is how we want those things to be better. Because it's a full moon, it's a culmination, so we're leaning a little bit more into reflecting on have I achieved in those areas. For the solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo, second and eighth house, it's flipped, where it was the eighth house for me for Aquarius and second for Christine. It is now the inverse. Copy and paste what I said before, except instead of it being the Aquarian energy, where it's thinking about the other people, community involved and coming together and building things, Leo doesn't care about any of that stuff. Leo is thinking about you as the individual. What does this relate to for me? How can I make this more fun? How can I be creative? So it's not necessarily about innovating, but it's about creating things. Self-expression. How are those ideas folded into the financial realm, our self-worth, our mental health? And because it's something that we're calling in, new moon, how could we infuse more play and creativity into our relationship with money, our own mental state, self-regulation, and self-care? How can we make self-care and dealing with our money more fun? And then lastly, we have the lunar eclipse at 4 degrees of Pisces. Just as I said before, we're back at that 3 and 9. Instead, it is ninth house for me, third house for Christine. So what is it that we're learning about? What have we learned? Because it's a full moon. What have we learned to develop our intuition, to develop our skill set? Christine and I have studied a variety of different modalities. Where are we at with our astrology? Where are we at with our human design studies or numerology? With different divination tools, have we experimented? Have we grown, tested, and used our intuition in new and different ways versus just to pick out groceries at the store?
Which is not a bad way to use it, but yes, I agree.
Have we pushed ourselves to expand? Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, so it wants to grow and expand. We can look back for a whole year. How have I grown in these areas of life? And similar, which I think is kind of nice about these summer eclipses, is both of them have a creative energy. We have Leo, which is creative, and Pisces, which is creative. How are we tapping into those outlets? A crafty hobby, trying to think outside the box, trying to be more imaginative. And of course, with Pisces, that could mean quote unquote delusion. And because this is a full moon, we're saying, what are the things that I couldn't have imagined that came true? I can't believe I'm doing the things that I'm doing and that these things have worked out in this way. Maybe they didn't seem like they were going to work out. And you go, oh, wait, this has actually been an awesome learning opportunity, an expander. And that is Pisces.
I love that. And I'm so excited to tell you what I channeled for the year because I feel like it totally fits in with the astrology. And I'm so excited. Okay, so what you've all been waiting for are psychic readings for 2026. Once I listened to our numerology and astrology readings for the year, I feel like mine is very in line. And I'm just always amazed at how this happens. I did use tarot cards. I was called to pull them. The way that I saw it was an overarching card for the year and then a card for each quarter, which is typically not like me, but it's what came through. So I didn't really question it.
I have to stop you before you get into it, okay? When I sat down to channel, I was thinking, last year I did a quarterly reading. That's how it came through. should I do that again? And I got no.
Yes.
That does not surprise me at all that then you got to do that.
Because we have mirrored charts and this is what happens.
Yep.
The overarching card that I pulled was the High Priestess, which I thought was interesting because the number associated with the High Priestess is 2. And for some reason, when I spoke about numerology this year, I felt compelled to talk about the 2 century that we're in. The High Priestess is very much associated with intuition. The message for this year is to trust your gut. Don't try to force anything. Let things unfold as they're meant to. And it's so funny I wrote this because Renee said it several times when talking about the eclipses. Pay attention to your dreams. This year, more than others, they will likely have messages. And I know Renee and I constantly say to do this, but this year it seems very poignant. Please do it. You don't have to, but I really recommend it. And the reminder for this year is when you don't know which way to go, look inward. Really trust that your intuition is taking you where you're meant to be. What's very interesting is for the first half of the year, I had Wands energy, which is a lot of creativity, energy, passion. And for the second half of the year, I had Swords, which is communication, intelligence, logic, versatility. Q1 is January 2026 to March 2026. For that quarter, I pulled the 4 of Wands. And 4 is a foundational number. Wands is your creative energy, your passion. And I heard in my head, like, let's go. Let's lay the foundation to build your passion. You may be feeling more inclined to stay home, hang with your people, and really ground yourself in your own energy. Do it. Building a grounded foundation now will allow freedom for the rest of the year. Celebrate any and all wins and embrace all of your mistakes. The first quarter of the year is typically meant as a time to wind down and rest, focus on like you and your loved ones. And in our society, January is hit the ground running. I love that what I channeled was, we're going to move with the natural cycles of the universe and we're going to hunker down a bit in Q1, which leads us to Q2, which is April of 2026 to June of 2026. I pulled the Page of Wands. All that downtime energy we have in Q1 is setting the stage for your expressive energy in Q2. The good news is it looks like we'll have a positive attitude and new ideas that we want to share with the world. Go on an adventure, share what you've learned, be a catalyst for change. This could all spark inspiration, allowing you to continue on with whatever you've been working on and bring a fresh view to things. Truly be and express yourself. You may even receive some exciting news during this time. Then we move into Q3, the second half of the year, which is where we get the Swords energy. When I think of air, I think of things moving and changing quickly. I pulled the Page of Swords. We're feeling energized in Q3, and now we have a ton of new ideas that we need to share, or we absolutely might burst at the seams. This is really a good time to just go for it. Communication is supported right now, so you'll likely be able to find the words, write the copy, and easily spread your message. Let your curiosity run wild and ask all the questions. All the knowledge seeking you're doing will just add to your wisdom and experience. And then finally in Q4, I have pulled the Ace of Swords, which is October 2026 to December 2026. We have been on an adventure this year, and now is the time to come back to the drawing board and see what can be birthed from the journey we've gone on. We now have clarity and can literally cut through the noise. There's a lot of potential here, so sit in your power. If you felt confused or couldn't quite organize information in the third quarter, you'll absolutely be able to do it now. All that you've experienced this year has given you a new, updated perspective and a great supply of knowledge, wisdom, and intellect. Feel free to use it to fight for justice because you're ready. Be mindful, though, with great power, aka education, comes great responsibility. Use your newfound power for good. The too long didn't read version of this reading is: trust your gut this year, let yourself wander, explore and learn so that by the end of the year you can take what you've learned and apply it.
Christine.
Renee.
I was making so many faces.
I saw!
And the reason is, I was listening to you, but I was letting my eyes graze over my notes. I channeled my year ahead reading a week ago. We didn't necessarily use the same exact words, but some of the idea and intention around what we talked about and how the year was split overlaps with mine.
Oh my God, get into it. I'm so
interesting. I used the Moonchild Tarot deck. We'll include images of each of our cards that we drew on social media, so you can check those out either after or while you're listening. When I sat down, I knew I was just going to be pulling two. It's going to be one card for each half of the year. So the fact that, Christine, in your reading, you had, first half of the year is wands and second half is swords, that we had this split. The other thing I wanted to point out before I actually get into the reading is all of your cards that you drew were minor arcana and my cards were major arcana. The first word that came through was transformation. The visual that I had for the beginning of the year is that we're feeling locked up in, quote, a prison of our own creation. It's a response to conditioning, societal expectations, and norms. In this visual, we start looking around in the dim light of our environment and we discover that there is a key that was left in the corner of the cell. How do I open my cell with a key from the inside? Some weeks and some months pass and we are deliberating. What do I do? If a guard appears, then how do I approach that? The guard is representing the structural system or authority figure. This first chunk of the first half of the year, we are in strategy mode. At this point, I was nudged to flip over the first card, which is the Chariot. It's a victory due to intuitive mastery and spiritual awakening. The key that we received is a representation of our reward, an opportunity for renewal and freedom from the old paradigms. The transition happening around mid-year, because again, this year in my reading was divided in two. It felt rocky. There's starts and stops. There's inconsistencies in our behavior, in our mood, in our willingness to move forward. So actually implementing that strategy. So once we figure out what we want to do with this key, or the next time the guard circles back, what I was getting is that definitely by August, we have the turning point, we regain our footing, we're steeling ourselves, we're charging towards the door, and we're making our escape, but really return to freedom and reconnection to a higher power. For the second card I had, in my deck, it's like a bonus card that they tuck into the major arcana, and it is the shadow work card. When I flipped this over, I said, wow, out loud. Just because of the storytelling that came through in this reading, this is a very vivid scenario where I'm just in the first person representing us. And we were in a dim, dark cell. And this whole journey is about us trying to get out and really reconnect and have the up level, getting out of the shadows, but then needing to look back at them. The lessons that we learned and the foundation that we built during the first 4 months that came through of 2026, we're integrating into our shadow. The experience of that first half of the year has trained us. We have expanded our awareness of our gifts, our abilities, strengths, and most importantly, awareness of our deepest fears. In the remaining months of the year, we can dedicate, if we would like, free will, time to a journaling practice focused on releasing and tending to those fears. Therapy, sound healing, Reiki and energy work, and other forms of divination may support you in navigating the route out of those shadows in a healthy, guided, and healing-centric way. So ultimately, that is getting us right at the doorstep of the end of the year. The final recommendation that popped in was sow your wild oats. So I paused because I was like, wait, I know this expression. I forget what this expression is. So I Googled it and I started laughing. It's about physical intimacy with a series of partners. That's how I'll put it. How does this relate to the storyline that we have? What do you mean, like we're sowing our wild oats all of a sudden? We're just talking about soul work and facing our fears and all that stuff. And it's because for you, maybe that is part of your growth journey in freeing yourself. It could be literal, or it could be asking you to engage with your senses. It is a pleasure-based experience. We are rediscovering pleasure in a, quote, unrelenting fashion. We were too buttoned up from that experience. We were literally in a cell. We were locked away. We had to break free from that. And now that we have learned, reflected, faced our demons, our weaknesses, this is a major empowerment step. I'm going to swing way into freedom, way into connection and experiencing the world. I've recognized I have been caged. I have been held back and holding myself back. We are encouraged to wholeheartedly seize freedom, connect, create, and foster a more colorful and bright life to contrast the darkness.
I know I'm the Delulu over here, but I really think through everything that we go through, we're just going to come out better people for it. I'm not excited for the hard parts, but I'm excited for like the gifts of the hard parts, you know?
Mm-hmm. You were saying, oh, you have new ideas, you have a catalyst for change, you have a spark for inspiration. And again, I didn't exactly have that, but we received a key. It was a gift. We had suddenly a way that we could get out. And then it's just getting ourselves to do that. And then you also were picking up something about our energy fluctuating. You said, let your curiosity run wild. The fact that it's like, sow your wild oats ahead at the end. Like, we did have some specific words kind of tossed in there that did connect. But the second half of the year with all that swords energy, that is the mind. My second half of the year was reflection, journaling, or therapy, talking, really trying to intellectually process everything. Page of Swords, going on a journey of that. All of the lessons, we finally are integrating it, and we're like, I can do what I want, and this is what I want to do, and I'm going to go and do it. So even though we were coming at it from different elements of tarot and the language was different, my jaw kept dropping to the floor because I could see just the little threads of connection, because we channeled these at completely different times.
Mm-hmm.
We got very, very similar maps and visions and frameworks for the year ahead. Please message us, send us an email, leave a comment on this episode, share it with others if you feel that they would resonate. It's always nice to have that loop closed and know that it is connecting for people.
Especially at the halfway point of the year, I'm so curious to see what this demarcation is going to be. For the listener, if you want your own personalized 2026 forecast, feel free to book a reading with either myself or Renee. And I think the beautiful thing about hearing us basically channel the same message in a different way is speaking to how different intuitives interpret what they're getting. So you've heard each of our styles. You can book with the person who feels most aligned for you.
I love that.
Me too. This was so great. I'm so happy we did this. I'm actually really excited for 2026, even though I know it's going to be chaos central. The readings just made me feel a little better. Maybe it's the fact that there's guidance and something to come back to. If you're in a situation and you're confused, trust your gut. Make sure to explore. Make sure to have experiences. The lesson is going to be in the wandering, not in the destination. Things like that. We have anchors to hold on to should we get lost.
Beautifully put. We look forward to seeing everybody next season. Stay tuned in your feed for a season 3 trailer where you can get all the details on our fun and exciting, brand new, reimagined season 3. And then otherwise, new episodes will begin dropping in March 2026.
We love you. Bye.
Later.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more, the resources we used to prepare for this episode are listed in the show notes.
If you're curious to develop your intuition, we've partnered with the Nuurvana Be Light program to give our listeners a $500 discount on tuition fees. Email us for more details and we'll connect you with the founder, Deganit Noor.
Want to connect with us? You can reach me, Christine, at Channeled by Christine with one L on Instagram.
And you can reach me, Renee, at _read by Renee, or connect with us both via email at synergytosynastry@gmail.com.
Keep your spirit curious and your aura sparkling.
We'll see you when the stars next align.
I think I'm very dry and I'm like running out of air.
I'm dry and running out of air.
Everything feels so dry lately. Anyway.
Do you have your Sagittarius diffuser going?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? She turned off. Thank you. Okay, she's back. Thank God Renee's here, huh? Okay, I know we're like at time.
Are we really impeccably at time? Look at us.
We're impeccably at time.
We're impeccably at time, and we had bio break, and we had 2 sidebar conversations, and we still finished at time.
Renee, I deserve another chocolate chip muffin.